What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken. Today, guys, we are here to review this absolute classic from my childhood, Arnold Schwarzenegger classic from my childhood. It is the latest Kino Lorber 4K release, and that is Kindergarten Cop. So I finally have this in my possession. Kino Lorber was a little late sending this to me, but I am so happy to have it now and be able to talk about it with you all, because this is just one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, I watched this over and over again as a kid, which is kind of weird to think about. Like, when you watch this film as an adult, there's a lot of mature elements in this movie, but that was just kids' movies in like the 80s and 90s. They would insert all these like dark elements into these movies, and you just don't get that anymore. It's a lost art form, I feel like. So I'm excited to talk about this movie. Before we get into it though, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about physical media on this channel, Blu-rays, 4Ks, owning the movies that you love, all that stuff there behind me every single day. So if you want more reviews like this, hit that subscribe button, news updates. I do everything physical media on this channel. And then comment down below, guys, what are your thoughts on Kindergarten Cop? Is this one of your favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies? It's probably firmly in my top 5. Like I said, I love this movie, but let me know your thoughts on it. Kindergarten Cop is a 1990 crime thriller, action, comedy, family film. It's a lot of different things in one, guys. Directed by the great Ivan Reitman, the same guy that did Ghostbusters and Stripes and a lot of comedies in the 80s. He really led the way, you know, in comedy in the 80s and early 90s. And the story centers around an LA cop played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, Detective John Kimball, as he must go undercover as a kindergarten teacher in order to locate a dangerous criminal's ex-wife to put him behind bars for good. So like I said in the opening, guys, this is just one of those movies that's been with me my entire life. I watched it over and over and over again as a kid. I watched it as a teenager, like I watched it in my 20s. I don't really go too long without watching Kindergarten Cop. I got the Blu-ray right here that I bought a few years ago. I think this is a 2019 Blu-ray, but I think there was a Blu-ray before this that came out in 2014. I will be comparing the two in this video, by the way, but I watched this, I think, a couple of years ago. I don't really go too long without watching Kindergarten Cop. It's just a very important movie to me, and I just love it. I love how it balances all of these different elements. It's a crime movie. It's a thriller. It's a cop movie, it's an action movie, it's a comedy. Like, you look at this cover right here and you would think to yourself, Arnold Schwarzenegger covered with kids, like that's just a goofy like family film. It's like a Jingle All the Way or something like that. And that's not really what this movie is. There are some very dark elements. The story is very serious, but there is also comedy elements as well that are very hilarious and funny, and you laugh out loud several times. And you got that stuff a lot, I feel like, in the 80s and the 90s. I just don't feel like movies nowadays can really balance those like different genres. And when they try, they fall flat on their face. But movies back then, like, they could balance all this stuff and make it work. Like, I watched this when I was like 7 or 8 years old. There's drugs in this movie. There's murder in this film. There's stuff that I shouldn't have been watching, but for some reason, because it was kind of portrayed as kind of a family film, like, my family was okay with us all watching it together. So, and there was just tons of those types of movies in the 90s, guys. So this is another one of those, but this is the one that I believe does it maybe the best out of any of those movies that came out of this genre in the 90s. And it was around this time that Schwarzenegger would really establish himself as not just an action star. He would do that in the 80s, but in the 90s, he really established himself as a comedic star. And it was Ivan Reitman that really brought that out of him with movies like Twins, and then that led into Kindergarten Cop, and then of course Jingle All the Way years later, which some people would say is their favorite Christmas movie of all time, most iconic Christmas movie of all time. But he's so good in this movie, and he balances the action stuff, the comedy stuff, but also some drama he does really well. He has a very fun dynamic with all the children in this movie that lead to some very hilarious moments. Like, there's some just very quotable things that are said in this movie, like, "It's not a tumor. Who is your daddy? What does he do?" And it's all like Arnold working with the kids. The ending act to this movie, I remember being scared by when I was a kid. I was always scared by the mother in this film, played by Carol Baker. Like, she was just so menacing to me. Like, I was more scared of her than I was her son, Chris, played by Richard Tyson. Like, I thought she was extremely threatening in this film. And I just remember the last act, like, used to scare me when I was a kid. That whole scene in the bathroom, because really, this is not a kid's movie, and I probably shouldn't have been watching it, but it was very accepted as a family film in the 90s. That's just the way it was. murder, drugs, all that stuff thrown into a family film on the surface. That was the era that we lived in, and it was a glorious era, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But I love this movie. I really do. It is just one of my favorite Schwarzenegger films. It's easily in my top 5, and Schwarzenegger has a ton of great movies. I just reviewed a couple that I really enjoyed. The Conan movie. Schwarzenegger is getting a ton of great 4K love this year, and I am definitely here for that. Now, getting into the transfer a little bit, this is a new restoration with Dolby Vision and HDR10. Now, this was a Universal film. I don't think they had anything to do with the remastering here. I think this was all Kino Lorber, because they did announce this 4K like a year ago, so that gave them an adequate amount of time to work on it. So I think this restoration was done by Kino Lorber, but just comparing this to the Blu-ray, I popped in this Blu-ray after I watched the 4K, and I've seen this Blu-ray a couple of times since I bought it, but there is no comparison. This is a drastic upgrade over that Blu-ray. Like, anybody that watches this and does not see a massive upgrade over that Blu-ray, I don't know what 4K you're watching. This was absolutely beautiful. It was gorgeous, a stunning transfer by Kino Lorber, and probably the best we could have hoped for a movie like this, of this era, of this time. There's just great detail and clarity. It has a really nice filmic grain structure. It's not overbearing. It reminds you you're watching a film, but at the same time, like, you've never seen Kindergarten Cop in this way before, because there's just such incredible detail on the close-up shots on Arnold's face. And some of the standout scenes for me with that HDR, it was definitely the classroom itself, like the kindergarten classroom. Like, there's so many colors throughout, and they do a lot of like pan out views of the classroom, and all that detail and all those colors just look amazing with that HDR, and all the kids' outfits that they're wearing. It's just a very colorful film, and it's a movie that you wouldn't think to yourself off the top of your head needs that 4K with the HDR, but when you're watching it, you're like, wow, like, this really does look amazing. The radio tower, like when the kid is climbing the radio tower and they're showing it from the ground up, like, you can see the whites and the red, like, are just so well defined, so well colored, and it just looks beautiful. Like, I watch this movie on VHS all the time. Like, I've never seen some of these scenes like I have in this 4K before, and it's a movie I know very well. So it's really cool to watch a movie that you've been watching on VHS, on TV, DVD, Blu-ray your entire life get this kind of treatment. Like, this really looked excellent. But even like I was talking about at the beginning in the gang club, like, there's so many like neon lights and stuff when he's sitting on that couch with a girl. Like, that whole scene looks excellent when they're kind of panned out and they're zooming in. All that stuff looks great. Light reflecting off the skin just looks beautiful. Everything's perfectly shadowed in contrast with that HDR. The black levels are excellent. Like, there's just nothing. There's no weak spots in this 4K to me. I thought all of it looked great. Even the scenes like outside the school, like where they're standing and you got the green grass and the yellow buses in the background, like, everything was just so clear, so well defined, so beautiful. Like, I cannot find a fault in this 4K. Like, I just thought it looked immaculate, like, all throughout this movie. So can't say enough good things about the actual transfer of this movie. Kino absolutely killed it. Now, getting into the sound, you do have the 5.1 and the 2.0 original lossless mono, and I listened to this on the 5.1, and this movie has such a beautiful score. Like, I love the music in this film. Everything sounded great though. I had no issues with the sound. I'm listening to this on my soundbar that kind of simulates that 5.1. I've got the subwoofer, and it was good. It's not a movie that really lends itself to like that sound upgrade, I think. So I don't think the 7.1 or the Dolby Atmos was really necessary. I'm sure some people would have appreciated it, but for what we got, I thought the sound was good, and I don't think anybody's gonna have an issue with the sound in this movie. And as for the packaging, you know, Kino Lorber, they keep it simple, you know, just the cover right there, the original poster of the film. You got the 4K Ultra HD banner at the top, and I love it. I love the way it looks. I love the Kino slipcovers. You flip it on the side. You got Kindergarten Cop, the font work. The font is great for Kindergarten Cop. It does make the movie look more juvenile than it actually is, though. But I think it's pretty damn cool, and I love how they put that original, you know, title logo font on the side. You got 4K Ultra HD at the bottom, Kino Lorber, of course. On the back, you got the synopsis of the film, and you got the details on the remastering. You got the special features down there below, which we'll talk about in a second. Casting list, all the specs at the bottom. So go ahead and take it out of the slipcover. Very nice slipcover though. I don't know why, but This one just feels nicer than the normal Kino Lorber slipcover for some reason. Maybe they changed up their cardboard, but that feels really nice. But let's show you the front of the 4K case, the back of the 4K case. We'll go ahead and open this up. On the inside, you just got the plain Kino disc, the 4K, the Blu-ray, and both of them look exactly the same, except for one has 4K and one has Blu-ray. But it is nice that we get both the Blu-ray and the 4K in this, because now I can get rid of my Blu-ray at some point. I don't have to keep that in the collection because I do like to have both. Checking for reversible cover art, but of course, I am not seeing it. You get that rarely with the Kino Lorber releases, but sometimes you do get it. Now, getting into the special features, guys, there are 2 brand new audio commentaries here. You have a commentary by, let's see, film historians Alexandra Heller-Nicholas, which I swear, she's like on everything. I feel like she does a commentary for every release across every boutique label. And Josh Nelson. I listened to a little bit of this because I do know this film very well. So I did switch over to the audio commentary for about 5-10 minutes, listen to it. And I would really love to just listen to the entire audio commentary because they definitely dive deep into this film and the filmography of Ivan Reitman and what he was doing at this time and his influence on the genre, which I thought was pretty cool. So that's one I would want to listen to in its entirety at some point. There's another audio commentary here with film historian Sam Deegan, and didn't listen to that one, but I'm sure it's an interesting listen as well. As for other features here, there's absolutely nothing. There's no new interviews. There's none of that. No featurettes, no visual essays, nothing like that. But I will say the Blu-ray has no special features as well. So I don't know if they've just never done special features for Kindergarten Cop, what exactly the deal is. No deleted scenes, no anything. Maybe they had some on the past DVD, but that's kind of strange to me. A movie that I feel is as iconic as Kindergarten Cop has never had audio commentaries, has never had deleted scenes, has never had anything. So you're telling me this movie has never had any deleted scenes, any special features, any interviews, any making ofs, like the entire 33 years since it's been made. I don't know, guys, that's a little hard to believe, but maybe that's the case. So I would have definitely liked to have seen something new here, a visual essay or something, new interviews, a couple new interviews of people that worked on this film. Maybe they just can't get it. Maybe the Reitman family has this movie on lock and they don't want to do anything new in terms of special features or interviews. I have no idea what the case is, but this is very tough for me because it really just depends on like, what do you value more in your special features? Do you value the audio commentaries, or are you more of a visual person that likes to see those interviews and visual essays and stuff like that? Because really, like 2 new audio commentaries, like that's excellent. At the end of the day, it really just matters your preference or not, whether or not you're gonna see the value in the special features here. So yeah, at the end of the day, I gotta give this a recommendation. It's going for $26.99 on Amazon, which I think is a fair price. I think it's also $26.99 on Kino Lorber. And yeah, I definitely recommend this. The picture quality is insane. I think this is a great upgrade by Kino Lorber. They did an excellent job here. Really, the only thing I'm a little conflicted on is that lack of special features, but it never had anything in the past. Maybe there's some kind of issue there. It is cool that they did 2 new audio commentaries, so you got to give it a little bit of credit for that. But thank y'all so much for watching my review of Kindergarten Cop on 4K. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on all those bell notifications for future videos, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.